Dear Philippe François, I prepared a little speech, which I can maybe replace by a song. Mr. President of the AMFORT, Deputy Secretary General of the World Tourism Organization, dear Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are celebrating today the 50th anniversary of our organization. And let me please have a thought for the person who was at the origin of this great mission, the Inspector General Serge Perrault, whom presence we really miss today. I would also like to pay homage to one of the pioneers of the international cooperation in the area of tourism, Professor Eduardo Feio Sola, who left us brutally. A couple of days ago, Eduardo was the general director of the Institute of Tourism of Valence, general director of the Spanish tourism policy. He joined me at the WTO, where he created the prize Ulysses and also the Artemis Foundation. Dear President, when the AMFORT was created in 1969, 145 million tourists came into the world or traveled around the world, and a few years later 1.4 billion tourists traveled, which is an incredible multiplication in only 50 years time. And this is very important for our sector, but also for education, training, catering. This growth, this exponential growth that seems to have no end, offers a great amount of initiatives and experiences. But in order to be able to take up this challenge, I think we have to identify 5 more specific challenges to take up. The first one is the one of the economic and statistical knowledge. It's quite technical, but I think it is crucial. The tourism sector activity is an amazing source of employment, a huge need in terms of training, but there is a lack of complete knowledge about these needs. And this for 3 reasons. Many employments are indirectly related to tourism. Another part of these employments are not declared, so it is very hard to measure this way. And many of these jobs are seasonal, so once again it is quite difficult to evaluate and estimate them. Many figures are out there. Some of them issued by the World Tourism Council, saying that tourism represents 10% of the world GDP and 1 out of 10 jobs around the world. But I think that this is not based on any concrete figures, and basically we have no idea about this concretely. So what we need to do is to really deepen this economic knowledge and base ourselves on very concrete and serious basis of national accountability, so that we can trace the real figures. Ladies and gentlemen, it is when we have the right figure that we can take the right decisions. A second challenge is the professionalization or professionalism in this industry. President will agree with me, but I think that by wanting to flee taxes, by also trying to reduce costs and infrastructure expenses and workforce costs, digital platforms are no longer shared economy. It's rather an unreasonable economy. The service you can get from an Airbnb will never equal the service you will get in a small family hotel. We have to get back to reality. And just to show my point, John Maynard Keynes said, and that's an understatement in my mind, the situation becomes serious when the company is nothing but an air bubble in a turmoil of speculation. In the tourism economy, the lack of professionalism can be fatal. We can survive a while to a lack of capitalization or to this model getting old, but we cannot survive long to repeated errors in terms of management. And I think that in this room we have a lot of company managers who can confirm this sentence. Human capital is therefore crucial to our sector, and this comes from either also the entrepreneur who is able to innovate and to accept a part of risk, and also an available and very well trained staff who can and who want to work. We need a very performing training solutions, training solutions in order to cater for these needs. And as Madame Pénicaud also said, I'd like to insist on the very high importance of ongoing training. The French government and the French Parliament also voted on processes to improve that. I think this is crucial to ongoing training. We have to respond to the demands of the market. Rabelais said that it is much better to be succeeding right now than to have succeeded in the past. Ladies and gentlemen, the world of training and education is facing this great expansion of tourism, but there is a great responsibility that lies in this, and also a great opportunity. Some countries, such as France, still have a great margin to progress. However, I don't think that the objective of 100 million is not enough. I think the great objective would be to exceed the balance instead of just having figures. It is a great responsibility because we still have in our country a great margin. People are underemployed, and our sector has the capacity to give a solution to this. As Victor Hugo said, if you open the door of a school, you close the door of a prison. So if we can create a class in a catering school, it means that we'll be able to close a whole unemployment office. And we'll see that later in this afternoon. And another challenge, I'll be speeding up, is multidisciplinarity, especially in the higher education area. Tourism is taught in a very dispersed manner. There's a lack of coherence, and I think that time has come to overcome some artificial obstacles between some of the subjects and the university subjects. What we have to do is to do some cross-fertilization, just like the biologists call it, let marketing wed geography, and so on and so forth. Another challenge is the gap, in my eyes, which is still too big between the university, the academia, who is a bit far from reality, and that's very far away from the technical schools. Mr. Minister, whom I respect much, I think really measured very well the challenge we have to face in terms of education in our industry. There is a real gap that we have to overcome between academia and these technical or professional schools. And the last challenge in my mind is the gap also that is separating this globalizing, ever globalizing tourism industry and the education institutions that are very often enclosed with so many obstacles and red tape. So I think we have to open ourselves more. We have to promote exchanges among students, among institutions, among schools. We have to make sure that we can switch between countries, swap between countries. If somebody started studying in a Spanish catering school, well, this person should be able to maybe continue and finish their studies in China, for example. Why not? Mr. President, last year, just 1 year ago, in Luxembourg, I was calling for an Erasmus of the tourism industry, and that's why I'd like to really congratulate you, particularly today, for having signed with the European Union some agreements, because our professions are by themselves international. If there is an international profession, it is tourism. And Saint Augustine said that the world is a book, and the person who does not travel has only read one page of that book. And I think that it is very important for us to take up these 5 challenges, because Virgile also said that it's very important to learn and keep on learning. So happy birthday, Amfort.